meeting to order, committee of the whole council of the municipality of the county of Annapolis. I have a few remarks. This 2024 Community Events Guide is a treasure. And it's put together in such a way that your attention is drawn to many places and many things that are going to be happening about which we probably don't know. And I want to give thanks to those who worked on this. I've asked that a copy be sent to every municipality in the province. And I think I'm going to read tomorrow where there are people from other counties, and I'm going to distribute it to the areas. So thank you very much to all the people. Today is Vimy Ridge Day. You'll find an article in today's Halifax Herald by a Canadian defense commentator who talks about Vimy Ridge Day and doesn't necessarily agree with me, but that's not his fault. I want to congratulate Rachel Holman and her team from Upper Canada and winning the Canadian women's hurling. It's been a few years since Canada has got that. And Brad Gushu, who is a former world champion, came second to Zadine in the men's championship. The men's championship was held in Schaffhausen, Switzerland, which was a bustling place during the Second War. And those Allied air folks who were shot down got into prisoner of war camps and escaped. And those Allied air folks who got shot down and evaded, in fact, part of Europe, made as quickly as they could get a journey to Schaffhausen. And once, of course, they had reached Switzerland, they were much better off than they were in Germany. Roll call with District 1, please.
Bruce Prout.
District 2, Ryan Putney-Connell. District 3, Dustin Henslow.
District 4, Roy Barlow.
District 5, Lynn Longmire.
District 6, Alec Morrison.
District 7, David Hudson.
District 8, Michael Gunn.
District 9, Wendy Sheridan.
District 10, Brad Redden.
District 11, Diane LeBlanc.
Thank you. Is there any disclosure of interest? Thank you. We have the order of the day. Deputy Warden.
Could we add IMSA report?
Where would we put that?
I guess put it as 7.3 because there's no other place to put it.
Okay, 7.3 IMSA report. Further comments? I need a motion to adopt the order of the day as amended. Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Enslow. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. We have a presentation at 11 o'clock that will be delivered electronically. We have the minutes of the March 12th Committee of the Whole. Okay, we'll move to page 19. You there, Deputy Warden?
Yeah.
Okay, have a go.
I move that to recommend that Municipal Council approve policy 114, council remuneration, 7-day notice.
Thank you. Seconded by?
I'll second.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Councillor Gunn. Discussion, please. Yes, Councillor Connell.
I believe that's where I saw it, so I'm going to say it anyway, but
Under that policy, it said that the deputy warden is ex officio, and I didn't understand. Is he only ex officio when he takes a warden's position?
Yeah.
Or is there any certain meetings that the deputy warden's ex officio?
Where are you reading that?
I asked myself that.
I don't think it's in, I don't think that wording is in this.
No, not this one.
No.
It
Well,
may
maybe
be.
it's under the council meetings.
Could be. Thank you. Further discussion. Councilor Barsham.
Wrong in one thing, so, just on the wording, maybe it's covered anyway, but the pension equivalent,
Sorry, where are we?
page,
22.
Okay.
in other places that it refers to, usually the other policies, but, page 71.
Yeah, but we're dealing with this.
Yeah, but it's in, so you can do the plan for any council member to help you cross the additional 1.4. What reasons, and like I'm just looking at it, tells what's going on there. Going in there for the long term for the pension. If the pension is implemented, it's only 2 years. It brings the next 2 years, so you automatically get forced into pension, the government pension plan. That maybe that for council should apply to that they can be paid to their own self-directed retirement plan instead of going into that other county plan. Same as this last year for the union one.
I'm afraid I don't understand. Councilor Enfield.
So the way that I read this is that would be your responsibility to take that 8.4% and invest it on your own, not for the county to manage it. That's the whole point of going into the public.
My point was that an 8.4 does go during, instead of after the 2-year grace period, automatically you get pushed into the superannuation plan.
Not members of council. Members of council may.
Like I said, I wasn't quite clear on the way it was worded. So that would be what covers my concern.
Thank you.
Got it.
Further discussion? Sorry. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are now on page 28. Deputy Warden.
I move that Municipal Council send a letter to the Nova Scotia Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing requesting that the financial reporting and accounting manual be amended to reduce the length of time tax sale surplus funds are required to be held before transfer to the Capital Reserve Fund from 20 years to 8 years, or 1 year post-tax sale, whichever is greater.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilor Hudson. Discussion, please. Councilor Gunn, followed by Councilor Enzo.
Thank you so much. And it's just a matter of clarity for me. So right now we hold that money for 20 years. And a nice piece of property, and it's sold for much more than what the taxes were written on. 20 years elapses. Can that family or heirs of that person come and get that extra money that was from that land at the tax sale, or are they ever entitled to it? And I do understand moving it from 20 years to 8 years, that only makes sense, because in 20 years it gets kind of lost in the shuffle and forgotten about the table.
We don't hold the money.
Yes, we do.
The province says we must.
Mr. Chairman, wish me to respond. So the way it works now is we sell it, the surplus or whatever is over what we're owed sits in a reserve for up to 20 years or 20 years. And so any family member who has a right to that has up to that time period of 20 years to claim it. If they don't claim it within the 20 years, then it automatically reverts to us, and they have no right after 20 years to come back and claim it. But right now, they have up to 20 years to claim it. So that money just sits in that bank for 20 years, potentially.
Collecting interest.
Collecting interest, but it just sits there for 20 years. So prevents us from having access to using those money.
And it also prevents family from accessing money that might be theirs.
That's right, unless they apply to the court and get the money within that 20-year period.
Right. Now, and I have one more follow-up question. Thank you. What happens mostly? Does that just money just referred to the county, as it's been very seldom, I can imagine, that families would ever come back and try to redeem that 20 years down the line?
Normally, if somebody applies, it's usually a year within the tax sale because they know the property is lost. They know the property's been lost. They know there's a certain amount of money that's been gained through the sale. So they usually apply through their bank or through themselves within usually a year or two.
Within a year? Oh,
Yeah, because if it goes past a year or two, 99% of them go over 20 years and never get claimed.
So, okay. Yeah, that answers my questions.
And that's why what we're recommending here is 8 years. So if it goes through 6 years, you've still got another 2 years to claim it, which is where, like I said, 99% of people claim it. After that, there's very little uptake because people have lost interest, no interest, or they don't know they have a right to it.
It's better for both.
So it sits there for 12 years, and it's not going to get claimed. So we might as well collect it now and then use it for a good purpose.
Thank you.
Councillor Ansel.
Thank you. The question I have is, if this was approved, how much money is currently set aside in that reserve?
I'd have to look at our last financial statement. It's reported in every financial statement. So our last quarterly financial statement would show each year for 20 years how much we can take out. Some years it's very little. Some years it might be 10 or 15 or 20,000.
Well, I'm just curious of if it goes from 20 to 8. Of course, that would open up that section. I just want to know how much.
It wouldn't be a big amount of money, but it will be going forward. So for instance, the last several tax sales, properties have been selling at a premium.
Yeah.
So there might be $50,000 or $100,000 in excess there now.
Yeah.
That could be available to go into the capital reserve for future projects for the community benefit. So, but you have to look. The financial statement actually has each year of the 20 years listed and how much the amount is. So.
Okay, thanks.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Page 31, please. You're on a roll.
Oh, thank you. I move that Municipal Council approve Policy 114, Committees of Council and Council Meetings Procedures Policy, new 7-day notice.
Seconded by Councillor Longmire. Discussion, please. Councillor Barto and Councillor Ensel.
Just to clarify, when you noticed last night that on page 34, top of the page, it says meetings from November to March. It should be sometime in July, I believe. Should open the amendment in August. Look at that.
Sorry, page 34, you say?
Yes. Third line then.
Meetings from November.
Yeah, that one should have been struck.
Yeah.
Or just, yeah.
Should have been struck.
Thank you.
That shows up in the meeting.
Because now it's 12 months, so this doesn't apply.
Would Councillor Barto wish to make that amendment to remove that line?
Yes, I believe that.
Go ahead.
Move that we retain page policy 116, item 2, line stating meetings from November to March, inclusive of all start and pay him, he's drunk, because that's already covered.
Thank you. A seconder for the amendment.
Right.
Councillor Gunn. Discussion on the amendment. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Further discussion. Wait, I got you there.
Thanks. So, after reading this, a lot of thought and talking to different people, and I would like to propose an amendment under item 3, regular meetings of council. From talking to various people and the concerns that we hear at every public meeting, I would like to suggest that council meetings be in the evening at 6 p.m. Because our council meetings are now a lot shorter than what they once were. With doing this, it kind of meets the benefit of both parties. It's a hybrid approach. So committee of the whole would be during the day because they usually take longer. And then council meetings itself would be in the evening. So the people that couldn't go to one could go to the other. I just think it's a good compromise. So I would like to motion that under item 3, that the timing be changed to 6 p.m.
And that's a subject you brought up previously in
Multiple times, yeah.
Yes. Is there a seconder for that motion? Deputy Warden, discussion. Councilor Bartow, please.
I appreciate the thought on that, and I tend to take the blinders off from both ways. There's a lot of other community activities going on, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings are used for that. It could create controversy where, oh yeah, we might not be able to make it Wednesday, but you got another meeting at night, so you can't make it. You're conflicting interests. So I just wanted to point that out, that consideration. I'm not in favor of commission myself, but just for that reason. And also that all of a sudden we'll drag staff in and we have extra expenses for staff over 5 hours.
Thank you. Councilor Crouch.
Thank you. I was just going to mention the staff aspect that my colleague has brought up. It appears to my recollection that when this was discussed before, that was a major consideration, like to hold it in the evening, and how do you juggle the number of staff who are always present at this meeting. For that reason, along with others that have been mentioned, I would not be in favor personally of moving it to the evening. Just my personal view. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As much as I realize moving it to the evening would give the public more chance some members of the public more chance to attend the meetings, and I do appreciate that. I don't think I'd like it because I still work a lot in the daytime. By 6 o'clock in the night, I've got 7, 8, 9 hours of the day working, and for me to be here at 6 o'clock to go to another meeting, I don't think I could give it my full attention. As I age, I understand that my sharpest time of the day is in the morning, not in the evening. Now, if it was all young people, I would say that, that would be a good thing maybe, but not with us old fellows. Thank you.
Well, that works for everybody. Councilor Connell, please, followed by Councilor Longmire.
I'm not for the motion. We have several night meetings throughout our district and through our county, several times during the year. And the opportunity, in my mind, sometimes they're more important than the council meeting. Committee of the whole, we make the decision. The council meeting, we verify what we've made decisions doing. But right now we have a recreational meetings at nights in our communities, not only held in Annapolis Royal for people to come to, but we've gone out to the communities. We did the same thing several times last year at community meetings with planning. And we get so little people come out to something so important that I don't think you'll see a whole lot come out to a night council meeting. So if people are worried about what council's doing, they should get in before we make a decision. And those decisions, like I said, we've held many, many times since I've been on council. And when we get representation of 500 people in our county coming out to 8 meetings or less of attendance, people aren't into coming out to night meetings anymore than they are day meetings. So I'm not for that reason. If they want to come out, they should be coming out to our planning meetings at night, our PAC meetings, our recreation meetings, because that's where we're trying to get good information on making a good decision. So when those are full at night, I would absolutely say we should go to council at night.
Thank you. Councillor Wambach, please.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate Councillor Anslow raising that question again today. I'm kind of sitting in the middle there after hearing the other councillors speak about the cost to staff and overtime, attendance at meetings that are already being held in the evening, and they're not necessarily attended with the numbers that we would expect. Again, it's a tough one. Council you're working for the citizens. Technically, it is their meeting, and I would like to be able to see more people involved. I work days, I work nights. I can make it work regardless of what it is, but I do know there are people that could certainly benefit from having meetings in the evening. And if it were to be a shared kind of idea that maybe the whole be daytime and council in the evening, perhaps that might satisfy those who have desired to see an evening meeting. I know in years past there were evening meetings, and I'm not sure how well they were attended. I did watch some videos from the past.
There were no videos.
So I guess I would say that at this point I don't know how I would vote, but I do see some merit in evening meetings.
Thank you. Deputy Warden.
Well, the Village of North End has 3 meetings in the evening at 7 o'clock. And if there's low attendance, like last night, there would be 4 people there. And a good night of attendance, there's probably 8, 9, and it's not all the same people. There's probably a good dozen who rotate through. And that's in a village with 600 residents, I think, in total. So I would think that we could establish a precedent. We'd hopefully get some more turnout. Yes, people can watch it on video, and that's nice and all, but I think we're all aware of the poor quality of the video that comes out of here and the audio problems that there are. I think a lot of people would appreciate to be there in person. And as much as I am quite content to have an online meeting, I do still prefer them in person.
Thank you. And anyone else? Councillor Anslow.
Thank you. So, like I've mentioned each time I brought this up, this is not a personal vendetta of myself, because obviously I can make it work. I'm fortunate to have an employer that's supportive, and I have a lot of overtime to use. But this is something that I constantly hear time and time and time and time again. So in regards to the cost of staffing, we now have a policy that allows staff to use time in lieu of. And having this meeting during an evening versus during the day would allow staff, if they wish, to continue their normal duties. But with the time they get in the evening, they could take it as time in lieu of whenever they wish or whenever it's approved. So it's not really a financial thing unless it's requested to be paid out. I'm not only thinking about the people that want to come to the meetings, there's also the people that watch the meetings live versus recorded, as well as what about the people that in the future want to become a member of council? This hybrid approach, in my mind, is opening it to the best of our ability. And many other municipalities do this. So for an example, Queens County has a hybrid approach. So, but there's nothing saying that we couldn't amend this later on. We do this, does it work? Maybe we move it back. But I feel that it's a good time to listen to what certain people have. I know I constantly hear it. And I just think of the people that want to get into politics, they can't because of the timings. They work during the day. And I know the same argument can be with people work at night. But with this hybrid approach, it serves both. So if you work in the evening, at least one meeting is during the day, and maybe you only have to take time off for one day. If you work during the day, you may only have to take time off once. I just feel that this would be a good hybrid approach for not only citizens, but potential future councillors. There's an election year coming up, and there's already been a few councillors that have mentioned that they might not be running. So potentially there's open billets on council. I'm not predicting any election by any means, but I feel now is a good time to bring this up. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Bartel, Councillor O'Brien, Councillor Allen.
What's the motion? This policy covers all meetings of council. This is motion only for council?
Only for council.
Okay. I didn't pick that one, the original.
Only for council, it's not for committee of the
No, so that's why I said item 3, regular meetings of council.
Okay.
That's why the hybrid approach.
Councillor Long.
Thank you. I've listened to all of the comments, and the comments are all correct in many different ways. It is an advantage, but it's also in my district or at the end of the county, being you're such a distance away, a lot of them think that they're going to be coming to the meeting and they say, oh yeah, it's in Annapolis Royal. I gotta drive that far, then I'm there for X amount of hours, then I have to drive back in the dark. So, is it a positive? Maybe. I'm not saying it's a negative, but when you look at the distance compared to people that are 15, 20 minutes down the road, it's not feasible for everybody to travel. That is during the day or that's during the evening, but usually in the evening, that's even worse for some of the travelers. I know that maybe our Facebook is not what it should be, our videos are not what it should be. I think that's one thing we should definitely be working on. Because back in the day, I don't remember they were in the evenings because I don't remember that at all, except for our committee meetings and everything else. And even at that, it's difficult for anybody to come out those evenings because they have other things they have to do. I think that I'm going to leave it there, but it brings out one thing. The videos, Facebook, whatever it is that's not clear, needs to be worked on.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Gunn, Councillor Sheridan, please.
Thank you.
This one wrapped up.
I just wanted a couple of points here. The public doesn't come out to these meetings to speak. So all they really want to hear is what you're proposing is that the public be able to come in person at 6 o'clock on council night and listen to the council meeting. And for that, for us to be able to make that happen for them, we are going to pay more travel time for our staff, overtime for our staff, in lieu time, nonetheless, I understand that. But still, it's travel for our staff. Times of the year when that happens, it could be quite, it gets dark for some councillors to travel. Maybe you're only proposing this in the summer months when it's light, I don't know. But, it gets dark. A lot of people, I'm older, I don't like to drive so much at night anymore. I do. I still will. I can still drive in the car and go to Halifax. I'm not worried about it. But I I don't like it. It's the same thing as at the end of the day after working, and I'm going to broach on this subject one more time, sorry, but I'm tired. I can't focus the way I do at the start of the day. And I think a lot of people are that way. As far as the public getting out, I think you'll get the same 2 or 3 people maybe come for a while and attend the meeting. And as far as getting young people and people that are interested in going into municipal governance, I've had several calls from people that, are querying my mind. Well, what do I got to do? How do you do it? Who do you see? Where do you go? Did you, go door to door? Did you do this? And I answer them all honestly, and I basically tell them the story of what I did. And I encourage, all council to do the same thing for this next election, and encourage people to run. Thank you. I'll stop there.
Councillor Sheridan.
So I am one of the councillors that will not be reoffering, but I still have an opinion. I'm open to change. I think change is good. If we want to get younger people in, if that's what it takes, and like Councillor Anslow pointed out, give it a go. If it doesn't work, revert back to the way it was. But it's definitely open to change. I'm willing to support it.
Yep. Okay, Councillor Hudson.
Yes, I would be voting against the amendment, and why is simply this, is we have a high percentage of people in Annapolis County that could attend meetings during the day, right? They're retired or whatever, right? You look around the room, you don't see any of the public here. And I think that if you think back at our previous meetings, that has been the case since I've been on council the last 3.5 years. So I really don't think that changing to an evening meeting versus a daytime meeting is going to increase participation at all. Because there's lots that have ample opportunity to come to meetings. Thank you.
Okay. Please.
Just to follow up on a couple comments, it's like, I understand the reasoning, and I'm leaning against it, but I also see the public, the public has asked to be able to get the meetings more. But in council meeting, is that really going to help? Because committee in the whole is where they'd probably like to see us battle it out. That's where we discuss things. And when it comes to council, that's already more on the bridge. All the time we're just putting our yes or no on it. So are they going to drive for how long? In the evening, and in the wintertime when it's snowing and it's dark, to come and see the follow-up, basically, the conclusion, the whole. So I really don't see the advantage as well from that purpose as well. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor? Very true. 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Don't care.
Motion defeated. Thank you, Evans.
More votes than last time.
Things are looking up.
Things are looking.
Pick something else.
Try it.
We got the original motion.
Try once, try twice, and then more years. Okay, we're voting on the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. I think it's page 63. Correct.
May I ask a question? Sir, and before we go on to 63, and I'm not sure if that's still dealing with the same subject we were on, forestry, and it was about the ad hoc committees of council. And what we have listed here for ad hoc committee, Cornwallis Park Asset Review Committee, glyphosate, which I thought we had put to bed a long time ago, but we still have our physician report. Isn't our forestry and ad hoc committee as well? That would be my question, sir. Thank you.
That's a standing committee.
Pardon?
That's a standing committee.
Oh, it's a standing committee. Okay. I just didn't see it listed anywhere.
It's page 47.
Is that? Okay. Oh, there it is, there at the very last. Thank you so much, and I'm so sorry to take your time.
Not a bit. Page 63, please. Deputy Warden.
I move that municipal council appoint Darren Shoup as a development officer for the municipality of the County of Annapolis to administer the municipality's land use bylaws and subdivision bylaw.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Discussion. Councillor Longmire. No. Councillor Longmire.
Thank you. I'm certainly excited to welcome Darren Shoup to the team. I am hopeful that we will have less interruptions and going forward see some of these secondary plans achieved. I speak on behalf of the Habitation Area Advisory Committee, as we know that our plan had to be wrapped up in the total county plan, and I know that the citizens of that specific area are excited to hopefully get another opportunity to look at that plan and move forward.
Thank you. And I think it's wonderful that we have somebody, ready to stand up and take the job. But I do query the job of the development officer. First of all, I don't quite understand their authority. Perhaps somebody could explain it to me. And as well, my understanding is that a development officer actually, and it's funny because it's contrary to what they call it. Their job is to stifle development.
What?
So I just want that explained. No?
One moment, please. I like to see people say things that are true. Would you give us the reference for your last remark that the job of the development officer is to stifle development?
No, well, that's what I've heard they're taught. And I've had different
You've heard that from?
It doesn't matter where I've heard it,
but
I have.
Sorry, stop.
I have heard.
You are out of order. Thank you. Ms. Bennett, please.
Certainly. So the Municipal Government Act states that if you have a land use bylaw or a subdivision bylaw in place, you must appoint a development officer. They are the person that administers those documents on municipal council's behalf because they are your documents. So myself, I am a development officer. A few months ago, we appointed Masa, and she's one of our planners, and Darren is our new manager of planning. We still have the position for development officer out for competition, but in order to just build that team and be able to get development permits and subdivision approvals out the door faster, it's better to have more folks on board, and it will help him mentor our new staff people as they come in.
So we have several development officers. We can have several.
You do. Right now, you only have myself.
I should point out that you approved the designation of a development officer last meeting or the meeting before that.
I understand that, sir.
And so
my
it seems to
question,
be common sense. If we approved one before and we're asking to approve one now, then yes, we have multiple development officers, including Ms. Bennett.
I didn't realize that, sir. I realized that we were looking for a development officer, and we had approved one a while ago here. And in that, it sort of got jumbled up. And the person who, I can tell you straight up, who told me is that the person that has a problem with the municipality right now, Kevin Amory, is the one that says if you listen to development officers, they generally will try to impede growth.
Excuse me, that is hearsay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Oh, yes.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you for your explanation.
Page 69. Why not? Hey,
Sounds good. I move that municipal council I move that we recommend to municipal council approve policy 115, pension, 7-day notice.
what page are we on?
69.
69 is where we're at.
Sorry, my mistake. Deputy Warden, correct.
65.
The seconder for the motion. Councillor Enslow, thank you. Discussion.
I have no idea what we're voting on at the moment, sir. Thank you. You guys got it pulled up.
Okay, page 65.
Page 65. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Discussion. Councillor Enslow, followed by Councillor Hudson.
Thank you. I think I know the answer, but I just want a confirmation. In this year's approved budget, we calculated for that dollar amount, right? Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Hudson, please.
Yes, just a quick question. I understand that non-union staff that union staff will not be participating in this. I was just curious as to how many non-union staff will be participating. 75%? 80%?
The number's around 30. I'm not sure what that percentage is, but it's probably 80%. Something, but the number's around 30.
30 out of 50 or something like that?
It wouldn't be 50 because that would include, it's like 55 including the union, so it's probably 30 out of 40 maybe. So, and the other 8 or 10, whatever it would be the ones that would be exempt based on the provisions.
Okay, thank you.
Here, Councillor Bartow.
Just clarification on page 67. It mentions twice the mayor or councilors. They have a mayor, but if you want them to feature message there or
You give us a specific reference.
Yeah, it's on 2.0, item 12 and 13.
Thank you.
Those are directed to the Municipal Government Act. Those aren't our words.
Yeah.
So we can't change those. That's just what the legislation says.
Just thought it might come.
Further discussion, Deputy Warden?
So I was trying to get on this point. Councillor Enslow has brought something up, and I've thought about it again differently. So if we've allowed for this in the budget, this is not a $16,000 further budget impact, is it? This is the change from previous. No, it's not a $16,000 change to the budget we wrote down, or?
No, so the budget we approved would reflect these numbers.
Okay.
So previously, that number was prior to the budget, that we knew that budget this year was going to increase by potentially 16,000. But that depends on the number of staff that are moving into the plan, those that aren't moving into the plan, how much people are contributing, whether they're contributing 5% now or 9% or 7 or 8. So it fluctuates, but that was the best guess at the time. But those numbers are included in the budget, so there will be no budget impact over and above what we've already.
Okay.
Further discussion? Councillor Bartow again?
Just the other policy, this one mentions the 10-year retirement.
Where?
Or 414.
Yes.
The other policy states that 8.4 consists of 9%. So she has some consistency between the lowest.
Please.
So this paragraph deals with people who are changing to the new plan. So this particular section that you're talking about is the match of the employer 9% for people 55 and older, for the people that are going to continue on in the current plan, the people that aren't going to have 2 years of vesting.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we're on page 66.
I move to recommend that municipal council repeal the following policies. AM-1.4.9 Community Grants Policy, AM-1.4.11 Community Contributions Policy, AM-1.4.12 Tax Exemption and Reduction Policy, 7 days notice.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Hudson. Discussion, please. Deputy Warden.
I would just point out that these are all policies we've replaced and you just failed to repeal them at the time.
Yes. Further discussion. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Carries. Page 71, please.
I move to recommend that municipal council approve policy 111, Annapolis County Planning Advisory Committee, 7-day notice.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Ormeyer. Discussion, please. Councillor LeBlanc, Deputy Warden.
If we look on policy 111 at number 4, terms and conditions, which are the ones that were given us this morning, not the former policy, the new policy.
Yes.
It's on your right-hand side.
Oh,
At the very end, it's a 2-year term beginning November 1st, immediately after the municipal election, and then 2 years thereafter, with no appointment ending until the successor is appointed. I've had a problem with that all the way along. How do you make a person stay in a position that, because of whatever reason, illness, moving, sadly, possibly leaving this world? How do you keep these people there until a successor is named? And then in the next one,
Why don't we deal with this one?
If I may, so if someone resigns, they're done. Or someone's not eligible anymore, they're done. It doesn't affect the successor, they're just finished and over with. This only applies if council, this is a 2-year term for appointees, and council doesn't get to reappointing people until November. Those people stay on the committee for 2 weeks in case there's a need for an emergency meeting or some type of special meeting. They're still legally on the meeting. They don't have to attend meetings if they don't wish to. They can walk away, but it just provides continuity because otherwise there may be a need for a meeting and you don't have any members appointed.
so I understand your contract. So if this person has moved to a different county, they still come from that county and come to a meeting?
No, if they move, they're ineligible automatically.
Okay.
Same as if somebody resigns, they're automatically out.
Alright.
That's different.
Okay.
This is if they haven't resigned, they just are still in the committee but haven't been reappointed because they're not eligible. That's different.
Okay. Burke?
If I could ask, because what happens often is that we have no applicants. So it would appear that some committee members would be dragged through another year or year and a half.
Many years. Yeah.
That's usually the issue.
That is the problem.
Yeah, but my superficial observation is if Jack Smith doesn't want to be on the committee, Jack Smith says, I don't want to be on the committee. I don't care if it's Christmas Day or Easter or what. There is no compulsion. In fact, we had a committee recently, and I think 2 or 3 people in quick order said, sorry, I can't come to those meetings, or sorry, I didn't realize it would be that amount of work. And then
I agree. So why do we have that there?
I thought it was councilors.
because we don't want to have an interregnum with nobody. And I know, and I've always been concerned about this, that there are certain times in the governance life of the county where we don't have what we should have because we were bound by, at this date, your term ends. We'd like you to stay on for another month if that's okay with you. She says no, and then she goes her own way.
We kind of had that in council a couple months, early years ago.
I still have a problem with it.
Thank you. You had another point, Councillor O'Donnell.
No, I see where you come from, but I really don't understand why it needs to be there. They have a commitment for 2 years, and at the end of 2 years, so be it. They can leave. But when it says, maybe it should be, no.
It really puts us in a conundrum.
Pardon?
It really puts us in a conundrum, as the clerk said. If you've got, for instance, an audit committee, and the 2-year term is up, but you need to have an audit committee meeting, but our process says we got to publicly advertise. So we publicly advertise, don't get anybody. You can't have an audit committee meeting. You can't have your audit and financial statements. You can't deal with it. So you essentially have bound us just because of a technicality. This isn't meant to keep people on committees for an extended period of time. This is just to get us over the hump. So if we need to have a meeting of that committee, we still have legally designated members. Otherwise, we will come into a situation where we put ourselves in a real problem situation. It will happen.
But again, if they choose not to come, they choose not to come.
That's right, but we still have a quorum with all the other members. But if we don't have people on the committee, then we don't have a quorum. It becomes a bigger problem.
Further explanation, thank you.
I was just going to say that the policy states that it's a 2-year term. However, I understand what you're saying. Your term may be up, but they're allowing you to stay longer until they have a successor come in, which is understandable, and that's the way I took it. So they're just trying to keep the flow of the committee going until they can replace you. So you have that option of staying on, and they're hoping that you. That's the way I took it.
It's no different than council. So you're appointed for a 4-year term, but you're actually for like 4 years and 2 weeks. Because although the election happens, you're still a member of council for that 10 to 12-day period. That if there's a need for an emergency meeting, you still have an emergency meeting. Otherwise, council would be shut down for 2 weeks. Same premise.
And that's the beauty, in a way, of municipal politics, is that municipal governments are always in session. The House in Halifax is not always in session. The government in Ottawa is not always in session. Councillor Randall.
I guess some of that boils down to my concerns is the ongoing sort of event, so give yourself a chance. I was on committees as a citizen member for years before I stepped up to the election for council. And I can't remember if it was all committees or if it was certain ones. I remember for sure it was one committee I was on, this was the Housing Authority, which is kind of by the wayside now. But theirs was a 3-year term. It was provincially type of organization. But I was a representative for the county. And you could do 2 terms, and you could apply for the 3rd one here. So I'm just wondering if we should add a line item in here so that if at the end of the 2 years, 2 terms, 4 years total, if everybody's gone and we don't have a new budget, that we can allow the return of a good number.
Oh, we can.
For it says they're out, but I guess they can be voted back in, but it just wasn't clear on this in that respect.
Thank you. Further discussion? Deputy Warden.
Excuse me. We recently reduced our audit committee from all of council to, I think, 3 members of council. And I have been thinking about this one as being, should maybe be similar for many reasons. One of which is that you tend to, with all the councillors on there, just 3 citizen members, you tend to be the citizen members. So their perspective tends to get overwhelmed a little bit. As well as it's a very public meeting and lots of other things going on. for the citizen members to take in. We're all quite used to meetings. And so I don't know if I want to necessarily hazard an amendment here, but I do think all council is a bit much to have on our planning advisory committee.
Thank you. Councilor Claude?
Well, I'm on the understanding is that if you don't make the planning advisory committee, then you can't vote. So we're not all on that committee to make a commitment to go to those meetings. When it comes to council, we can't vote on it.
No. Those, if I may, the way the act says, I think it's a public hearing. So if you're a member of the planning advisory committee, and you hold a public hearing according to the act, you must be present at the public hearing in order to, or is that council?
Yes, it's both.
And present at the public hearing in order to vote on the documents to be passed.
It's only present at the public hearing, regardless of who's on the committee. So you have to essentially hear what the public has to say in order to be able to vote on it.
Further discussion? All in favor?
What are we on? Is this 111?
Yes. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. I think we're now on page 76. I guess we'll go between. Oh, okay. Let's just take a deep breath for 3 or 4 minutes and we'll start the Zoom presentation.
Can we just take a break?
Sure. Take a quick 4 minute.
4 minutes.
4 minutes.
You get a print.
So we have today with us Mr. Dwight Wynot, who is going to give us a presentation, and the title is King's Transit Strategic Plan 90% Report. Go ahead.
Because I thought I'd start with where we are with the hired WSP consultant perspective to help us with this National Mass Transit study. And I'm sure you probably got some of the updates through February ready, but maybe I can pull that up here and yeah, a lot of technology that doesn't work.
So just while Mr. Wynot's opening his presentation, the presentation he's giving is not what the information in your agenda package is sort of summarized information leading into this presentation he's giving today. So you won't be following along. That's just for
Well, this is
Pre-read.
This is just a presentation he's giving today.
Well, if you tell me, Mr. Weinbach, when to change slides, I can flip them.
So you've got the budget one up first, though. Do you have the other one, the first one I sent you?
No,
Package?
no.
Okay.
I thought you sent that as information and that you sent me today's presentation is what you sent yesterday. So that's what I have up.
Yeah, everybody has a presentation. I'll go through it quickly here. The WSP were engaged last fall to go and
This is what's in your package.
yes, this is the one that's in your package. And help us understand, where we were, transit organization, and so there were, we had 10 open houses that we had from P3 to Wolfville. the attendance was varied from location to location, but some really great feedback during those sessions. They proposed what they would like to see changed or enhanced. There was an online survey, which a number of people responded to also. We met with different groups, agencies, to try to get as much information back as we could. Some of the main things were the buses are chronically late. Routes were canceled frequently. Side trips where we venture, east or north or south off of Route 1 basically. Running earlier, later on Sundays, and extending the service into regions like Halifax or going through to Yarmouth. So those are some of the main common responses that we heard. So, I guess we came back with some recommendations. WSP came back with some recommendations. One of the biggest things, our schedules are it's almost unattainable. They're very, very tight as far as stop-to-stop schedule goes. And if anything happens, construction, for example, we'll definitely put the routes behind. So we're going to going forward, that's one of the recommendations is to work on that schedule and build a little bit of slack time in the schedule. We're looking at, from a stop perspective, again, making sure that we're servicing stops for other people, and there's regular people there. So we've done some on-board surveys to make sure we identify some improvements in that case. Cancellation routes really are two plans. Mechanical repairs with the buses is a key stage. The other one has been struggling to keep drivers employed and recruited. And obviously from a mechanical vehicle side, the order of electric buses, those will be much more reliable than the whole some of the things we talked about is brooding, dynamic brooding. There are a couple spots we do venture off the main route. One concept that we're working on doing that on a fall basis, that somebody would send us a note ahead of time and then once we get that week. So, it's no really major changes in the route. As far as adding additional territories for stops, adding some stops and taking some away, that's going to balance itself. But really kind of still staying on the existing routes, just making them more reliable and getting the timing that are inconvenient, I guess is the best way. WSP also looked at some governance and funding models for us. They're recommending that all municipal units that are part of King's Transit would be equal partners. Good partners. And we'll come up with what that governance is going to look like as far as representation on boards and whether there's weighted voting or things of that nature. We haven't got to the end yet, but having everybody as a part of the buses for your transit agency, and we deploy them. Really need to be, the battery electric wells are places that they're in diesel buses, but you have some longer routes, the piles accumulate quickly, so to manage that side of it. And then the recommended costing formula that WSP has come up with, in terms of your looked at it, they came back with some 6 rate different options, is a blended formula where you're looking at the time of the bus within a unit of the municipality, and then the number of riders that can do it. So it's a kind of a blended that there's the funding would be part for the availability of the bus, and then the other part would be for the use of the bus. It seems to be
well used, quite a lot in other parts of the country, and it seems to be, internally we think it would be a good recommendation that we'll be making to the board down the road here in the next few weeks. Again, they came back as kind of what they told us. How to approach it, a move forward approach. At the end of the day, what we'd like to do is get to move forward approach for the agency and make sure that we can achieve some better timing, better routing, things of that nature. The WSP folks did a lot of work with looking at the demographics in our service area, trying to see where the growth areas were, the service land, the service property, and really the only one spot in that space is some, talking to some of the planners and things of that nature, was say the service in the Canyon area, which we currently don't do. The other thing that WSP actually came back with was moving the hub from the organization from a dispatch perspective would be going to Berwick. And making the line from Berwick to Weymouth a longer run, but adding a bus and being able to do it in a better service time. So the other thing is as a preliminary discussion for Berwick with regard to using their utility, being able to get green energy to charge up the battery operated buses. So what were some of the highlights so far? Some of the WSP report and design design allows you can see here we have fewer transfers, wait time for connections is eliminated. So if you do have those single point delays point construction, then you would not impacting every run, just be one that hits the construction zone or an accident or something like that. And then a couple schematics there for us just to show what we're talking about. We moved to battery electric. We're getting bids for the drafting an RFP currently. We'll bring it back to the MSA board to at least get the RFP out for purchase of the first group of buses. We're hearing different delivery times from different manufacturers, so we thought it was probably time to get the RFP up there, see what those delivery times would be. So we're working on some final specifications for those buses. One thing we'd really like to do is build some consistency into the fleet. So the recommendation currently is to go with 40-foot buses. From a cost perspective, not much difference between a 40 and 35. We'd really like to be able to have consistency with spare parts and for mechanics and everybody else that the bus is a bus, and it drives the same from a driver's perspective, from a repair perspective, from a spare parts perspective, everything, and a charging perspective, everything is consistent. Some early estimates, cost savings at the end of the day, spring semester compared, this is all estimates because we have other customers need to compare to. We're looking probably for a fleet somewhere in that $200,000 to $300,000 a year less in repairs and maintenance costs. The similar aged fleet would be lower prices. So definitely some benefit from the cost, and obviously, from an environmental perspective, GHG emissions and things of that nature, we're definitely going to be in much better shape. So that's where we are today. The next highlights that we're going to be doing is bringing some of those governance recommendations back to the MSA board. Currently paid for purchase of buses, and that includes the charging stations you went there. What we're hearing is for the minimum of 18 months to take the delivery of the bus. Probably we're looking at 18, up to 24 months to have the bus. So, you can stop there and see if anybody has any comments or questions. Jump in at the end here.
All right, thank you. Councillor Longmire, please.
Thank you. First, thank you, Mr. Wynot, for providing this update to us. First, I just would like to ask when and how were the meetings advertised? Because I didn't realize that there were 10 open house sessions. I would have loved to have been able to attend at least one of those.
Well, we had on the radio, we actually mailed something like 40,000 postcards. We were supposed to go there for disposal. It was on our website,
Did we by chance receive anything here in the county office, like through mail, that we would have been able to have known about the meetings?
I'm going to have to, you don't know exactly if the USP sent something to the county office or not.
Okay.
But they were, that was their side of the world.
Sure. Sure.
Don't know if that specifically went to the county office.
All right. As far as accessibility goes, and I know you talked about, delays on the roads and then looking at possible dynamic roading along the way for consideration. I'm just wondering, with accessibility, is it the driver of the bus who helps those who have accessibility issues, like putting wheelchairs on board and securing them and all of that?
You do assist with that,
yeah. So I suspect that would cause delays as well.
And that's a great point. If you have 2 or 3 folks, in the same stop or in a row, it doesn't end. If it's current rain, it's just the timing is too tight. You need to build a little bit of that timing in there. The new buses, as we were, will have all of those accessible. It would be, not just wheelchair and nature, but both audio and visual inside for people who will stop there.
Right. That's going to be amazing. I did like the clarification around, where was it? Actually, that King's Transit owns the buses, and that we purchase a service, because that's been a question for a couple of years now. So that's good to hear. I suspect on the phone apps, and not everyone has a phone, so they wouldn't be able to follow the road or to know if a driver is delayed. So I'm wondering, how else is there communication around that when people are waiting outside in inclement conditions? I know that's tough, right? There's not shelters everywhere.
It's tough. We do have, obviously, a 1-800 number, which is manned all the time. So if somebody doesn't have access to a phone, obviously data is an issue, but if you have, the buses themselves obviously have Wi-Fi. Trying to put Wi-Fi at every bus stop becomes a very complicated and expensive option. So we continue to search for whatever other alternatives we might be able to find out there. But it is, that's the reality of running the buses and trying to get that information out to people, if they don't have the technology in their hand.
Yes, thank you for that, Mr. Lyons. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Sheridan, Councillor Carl, Councillor Prout. And Councillor Gudge.
Thank you. So I'm a little confused with the buses, because I was with the understanding that the county owns a couple of buses or 2 or 3 buses. In the past, when one was sold, we got the money from the sale. So I'm really confused where Kings County owns the buses.
When did it happen?
When did it happen that Kings County owned all the buses, or the Kings Transit owned all the buses?
We do not today. That would be the plan going forward. Once the time is drawn up, and if the recommendation goes through, that everybody is a member, then at that point in time, we would have an agreement of how we transition. Today, that's not the case.
That's right.
Today, in Annapolis County, Kings Transit operates the buses, maintains the buses, insures the buses, registers the buses, but you own the bus.
And how many buses do we own? The county of Annapolis?
There are two.
Two?
So there are three.
I thought there was three, but
I have to check that one, but I'm pretty sure there's only two.
okay. My other question would be, moving forward, you want to move up from 7 buses to 8 buses? You mentioned in your presentation that you were struggling to get drivers now. How is that going to impact moving forward when you're struggling with drivers now and adding an extra bus? Is that bus just going to be sitting there if you have no driver? Or I guess I'm just concerned financially, because we will have to contribute financially to these buses.
We've taken a different approach with drivers. There's a couple of things. One is we increase the number of part-time drivers, because that seems to be attractive for folks. Whereas before, the philosophy inside King's Transit was just full-time drivers. So, over the last 6 months, we've been much more successful on recruiting and retaining drivers. And I think we'll be able, from that perspective, I think we're going to be suited going forward. Some really good folks there now. We'll continue and, we definitely have to be competitive in pay scale perspective and benefit perspective, but, so I'm not concerned so much on drivers going forward.
Okay, thank you for that.
Councillor Connell?
I understand your presentation, but I'm kind of lost that this is why we went in on the IMSA, was to figure out if we're going to be a full-time partner or if we're going to be paid for service. And it seems like the presentation is putting the cart ahead of the horse, assuming that we're going to be a partner. And in my mind, I'm not convinced yet. So
this is simply the recommendations that came back from WSP.
Well, it's great for WSP to tell us how we're going to make our taxpayers pay for this, but
No, that's not the case. This is the recommendation coming forward. I'm just presenting the recommendation, and that's come back to the IMSA board and then back to each individual council. So there's nothing. This is their recommendation.
Because
not to do that, then we would look at the service partner option.
Yeah, because we asked to be looked at on both sides. We asked to be looked at both ways, not come back with one option. So
that's right.
To me, when it's proposing changing the connecting point to Berwick, and you're saying add another bus, so a bus is going to be shared between Kings County and Annapolis County to come into Annapolis County, it's going to make it a little bit more confusing on what we're paying for, what we're not. We haven't made a motion that we wanted to go fully electric yet. So that's part of the IMSA that I thought the reports would come back before something like this came back. Because in my mind, good presentation and good thoughts going forward, but I'm not even interested in this until I see what we're going to do through the IMSA. If we're only going to be a partner, or if we're only going to be a fee for service, then this here is, to me, is made for the East End. It's not connecting to what we would like to be as the joining partner, no matter if it's full or if it's paid for service. So I understand that the WSP come back with great ideas, but again, it's what our county can afford, and that's the big thing with me is that when you hear that even in Halifax are cutting bus routes because of the cost, and we're seeing buses going to Cornwallis with 2 or 3 people on it, and you guys are saying, yes, it's still nice to have a 40-foot bus, and a 40 report bus going through Annapolis Royal with 2 people on it sometimes makes it difficult when people come to you as a counselor and say, why do we even got buses? Understanding. People do appreciate it.
Point in time, as far as the observation goes, the ridership numbers are up substantially right across the system. I'm not going to say that there's not certain points, there's a day where there's only a few people on the bus, but there's other times where they're standing remotely. So, that's a bus service. I don't know how to fix that problem.
I think we need better reporting from you guys. If you're saying that there's times when they're standing room only, I would like to be standing there watching the bus go by. Sure would make me feel.
We can actually supply that to you because we actually do, and WSP, we keep track of boardings at every stop, every day, of every hour. So, we have that information. That's why, from WSP's perspective, when they did their analysis, surveys, and everything else, that's why the recommendation came back to a 40-foot bus, because it was the right fit for the system. But again, this is just a recommendation. I can't say that enough times. If they looked at the current business, they looked at the go-forward plan, and based on their expertise, across North America, and this is what they're proposing. So it's not a done deal by any means. This is as back through all the appropriate channels to raise issues.
Thank you.
Okay, with Councillor Prout, Councillor Gunn, and Councillor Henslow.
Thank you. Did I understand, and perhaps I missed something, but when you talked about moving sort of the switching point from Greenwood to Berwick, that one of the rationales for that was you were looking at perhaps putting a dedicated bus to run from, say, Berwick to, I guess it would be Weymouth, and that would take, you wouldn't have the number of milk runs, you'd have a long one continuous. I was correct. Oh, okay, well, that's good. I guess my question would be, and this has been a question that I've heard over the years for the Wilmot, Malvern Square, Kingston area. Currently, when your bus comes down and you turn on Bridge Street in Kingston and go to the Greenwood Mall, and I understand the draw for that. The bus route continues from the Greenwood Mall down, I believe, 201, swings out and comes out to the number 1 at Frenchie's. Mm-hmm. Is there any chance that this long continuous run might stick to the number 1 highway and bypass Greenwood? Maybe they could drop people off in Kingston who would be picked up to go to Greenwood on the next run. The reason I ask is there are a number of businesses in Wilmot along the number 1 highway. There's also a nursing home there. That is, and I often hear from people, why don't, I can't get to the nursing home to visit someone because the closest I can come is the corner of Bridge Street in Kingston or Frenchie's in Wilmot, and that doesn't help me. Just a thought.
Great point, and yes, we are open to look at all of the different changes, stops, small wording changes like that are things that we want to make sure go forward. In the process, once we agree on what those routes are, we have to go back to the URB for approval. Mm-hmm. So these are just concepts. So lots of time and ability to fine tune those. So great point. I appreciate that. I'll pass that along to the routing specialist as I got and see if that's practical and doable.
Okay. Well, thank you. I agree with the concept of one long run to speed things up and accomplish your goal and the goals of many of your ridership. So thank you.
Councillor Gunn, Councillor Henslow, and Councillor Legault.
And thank you very much, Mr. Wylot, for being here today and taking the time right off the bat. I realize is that the east end of the county and the valley has most of the jobs and certainly most of the population. There's no doubt about that. And I'm seeing a lot in this document you presented to us here, and a lot of mention of the eastern end of the valley. What I don't see is a lot of mention of the west end of the valley, and that's my concern, is the west end of the valley in Annapolis County. You know, I still see a lot of big buses with very few people on them. How are we connecting to our outlying communities, or considering connecting to our outlying communities? We need connectors to these small communities. We need something connecting. I'm just going to go real easy. Bear River. You guys were down there dangling the tech fair here 6 months ago, and now people are excited down there thinking that someday there may be a small connector bus coming into Bear River and making that loop to Smith Cove. Live in hope. So I thank you for that. So are we're looking to get these buses moved to, where's this, Berwick? Is that right? You guys are going to centralize in Berwick? Is that the idea?
Well, and again, for a couple of reasons. One is to make the routes work. The other is from a charging perspective. We need to make sure we have sufficient charging capability.
So these are for the electric buses?
From a monthly perspective, we can attain that there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's been no thought of diesel electric or anything like that. That's the other thing is, when you go to this Berwick and this energy cost, would that be from that municipal cooperative that Berwick is involved in?
Yes, it would.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
And that's part of this. As far as the type of buses, whether it's combustion engine, diesel, hybrid, natural gas, we've been looking at all of those options. I agree. The funding that we receive from ISEC is very clear that funding has to be for battery electric buses. But that doesn't tell us or make us say the whole fleet has to. So we continue to look at other technologies to see which is going to be the best. A lot of the diesel engine manufacturers are going to hydrogen. Cummins has made it abundantly clear they're not going to build an electric engine, they're going to build a hydrogen fuel engine. But getting hydrogen to Nova Scotia is not the easiest thing currently. So there's many options out there, compressed natural gas, things like that. So we're definitely looking. So this is kind of the first step.
Well, and I agree. It makes it hard when the government who's handing out the money tells you it must be electric.
Right.
And thank you so much.
A little bit about it. To one of your previous points you made, and that's the off-route connections. We did spend some time talking to some of the community transit organizations, and we also spent some time speaking with the provincial department that oversees that. And I think you all agree that that's probably the best fit if we can make that work, where you would have some cooperation between those services and the main transit. Halifax, not to compare to Halifax, but Halifax has 3 or 4 now of these community transit organizations that transport people from point A to point B to connect to Metro Transit. There's also this Joint Regional Transit Authority, I was going to think about that one, JRTA, that we're looking at connectivity from roughly 100 kilometers from Halifax out, which would get the job in that. And we've been doing work with them also, just to make sure that if there's going to be a connection point between the Valley and Halifax, that it would be aware and can make schedules and transfer points work for that. So that's. There's still lots of work to do. This is kind of the phase 1. This is, getting the fleet and getting the routes currently improved so that we can offer good service to people and try to get more people taking the bus. Because then they have some confidence in the system.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate all your work.
Councillor Ansel, followed by Councillor LeBlanc, please.
Thank you. I had one, but now I got a two-parter. So the first one is, you mentioned about the 100 kilometers that HRM or Halifax Transit's looking at. Just for my own clarity, would that be to potentially hope to connect the two services? So if someone got on a bus in Columbus, for example, could then connect to an HRM to get into Halifax?
It's actually a provincial entity. Transit League. So it's not Metro Transit Direct.
Okay.
Just to clarify, but yes, and that is they're looking at three key areas: the Valley, the South Shore, and the Truro area, and trying to come up with a good plan to move people back. Whether it's one of our transit buses goes into Lower Sackville, or whether it's something like that would into the city and then connect with the bus there to get to their final destination.
Perfect, thank you.
They're still in their public consultation big processes and stuff at this point. But that long-term goal, that's exactly what it is. Yes.
Perfect, thanks. The other question I had was just to follow up on Councillor Collins' comment, just mostly for my own clarity. So, from what I see with the WSP report, is we're getting this briefing or presentation as a courtesy before it goes to the IMSA, that then makes their recommendation based on this report, because the consultant has no authority on anything. And then once that recommendation is done, then it comes to council for their individual councillors for their own approval, right? Just so
Deputy Warden Wren is part of that IMSA. I'm not trying to pin it here, but that is the process. You go back to the IMSA board first. They would accept it as a recommendation, and then it would go back to the individual units.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify for even people that are watching that this report isn't anything set in stone. It's just examples from a consultant, no different than a land use bylaw consultant. This recommendation doesn't mean set in stone. There's still a lot of filtration to happen before it comes to us. Thank you.
It's there. We're trying to get them to narrow it down instead of having 6 recommendations to make one based on their knowledge, insight, and expertise.
Thank you. I will hand the chair over to the Deputy Warden, please. Who's up next? She's not here. Is anybody after Councilor Warden?
I would make one comment that you're just calling a 9% report because it's not even WSP's final draft to the IMSA. They brought us this report to the IMSA for the IMSA to make comments on, so they can go back and make changes.
There's Councillor.
Here's Councilor LeBlanc.
This is just, again, they call it 90%. We're still looking at those final recommendations on schedules and equipment in particular. So, but we wanted to get some discussion happening. So, moving forward and some of the other, the governance and structure questions that could come up here today.
So that, you just said it, so they're gonna bring one recommendation back to the IMSA when we ask for a recommendation as being a member, a recommendation as paper service.
We asked that of the IMSA. Asked that of the IMSA. Yes. I don't recall exactly what the RFP was for WSP. I don't know if I was there at the time. I mean, that's a negotiation between us and Kingston Manchester. I would think about it.
But when you got the consultant. No different than the consultants we hired last year. They're only doing half of what we asked for them to do. We asked them for them to come back that we had not made our minds up to be the full-fledged partner for pay for service. So it brings back 2 options. They're narrowing it down to 1. What's that tell you? The options coming is 1.
What does it mean ISMA is going to take that option from the consultant, though?
Oh, but that's what I'm saying, is that they still didn't even, they're not fulfilling what we asked of them.
My question would be, is those 2 options, were they in the RFP? And if they're not in the RFP, then...
I think we're getting off the presentation topic. Unless, Dwight, do you have a comment on what was in the original RFP to WSP, but that's a lot of work.
The original RFP asked WSP to look at the governance and structural options and make a recommendation. Words fit that whichever way we want. So they did look at a service partner option versus a full member option. Their recommendation is a full member option. That's all this is. This is a document of recommendations. There's nothing in stone. It's the same as the costing formula or the funding formula. So, they came back with a range of different options. We talked about and worked through them. And at the end of the day, their preferred or recommended, option was this split between availability and ridership. And I mean, I'm just going to, we can talk about population, uniform tax assessment, miles, time. There's all kinds of different factors that we can build into it. But their recommendation was simply, after going through them all, was to come back to this one. Recommendations.
Further comments? Questions? Dwight, you still have another presentation here?
Well, again, the only other thing I had was, I'm sure you've seen this one before. This is the quick for the coming year. It wasn't so much the budget numbers, but just some of those little things that we're going to be doing during the year to try to improve the system. Until we get to the seats and things of that nature. So we've done some additional staffing, brought another mechanic in, training. We have hired a director of finance and corporate services. It's a shared role between Valley Waste and ES Transit. Actually, he's the end of the day. He's doing a fantastic job getting this whole budget for both organizations much better than the previous years. And working through those. So now I'm statistical things that I need to do a great job in is short 6 months now to help us out there. So those are some of the highlights. We're still struggling with some of the costs. Insurance rates continue to increase. So we see another 7% increase this year for fleet insurance. Back to our discussion about the JRTA. This is something that I brought up with them that maybe we could, from a provincial perspective, insurance, the software for tracking that we want for our users. Maybe there's one application that we all could use and try to make that work. So there's things like that that we're working on. Just looking through my notes here quickly. We definitely are looking for other sources of financing. Government, there is another green transit fund that's supposed to put it down in 2026. So we're keeping our ears to the ground on that one. I'm not sure what restrictions are going to be as far as what type of equipment, but I think we can tap into that funding of all our capital. So again, that just highlights there throughout the years, some good information in that package to show some of the increase in costs for the 24-25 year, some reductions in costs for the 25 years. So, but it's the main message is the fleets are getting older, and we do need to move forward with some capital to keep us to keep the wheels rolling in the process. So that's our main goal right now.
Councilor Ansel, you got a... I did. I just got two questions. So the first one is about your comment around the ever-increasing insurance. The only question I have with that is, does King's Transit have a lot of claims, or is this just normal increases?
We don't have many claims at all. It's really more market driven. There is really, to the best of our knowledge, only one insurance company that's willing to insure public transit.
Okay. And
it's almost a monopoly, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. So the other question was around the 24.2% increase. That's quite large. I know that we've discussed this multiple times, I think, but it just seems very high of an increase for Annapolis County.
Yeah, it does look like that's like that other company.
Yeah.
Send this out.
So I wondered if you could provide just a short, maybe, discussion on that 24.2%.
Sure can.
Because I know when our residents see things like that, they just blow their mind.
Again, it's a combination of cost and ridership because that comes into play in this one. So, we can supply you some additional detail that the waterfall charts kind of show if you look at the page is.
Tell me what's at the top of the page. What's at the top of the page that I can flip to?
There's a change in Annapolis service park funding, budget 24, forecast 24, and budget 24 to 25. Those two pages will show you just the graphic where the bigger increases your savings are. Before your costs.
There. That's it.
The allocation based on ridership, as your ridership increases, we've seen that contribute to your overhead allocations too. So I can get you.
Yeah, I'd just like to have more information if you could provide that, because that's a big number.
So we can do that for you, sure.
Thank you.
Councilor Berto?
Just trying to get my head wrapped around the whole concept and how we get from point A to point B. King's Transit going green. If we have long routes to drag on down through the valley, if we get through Annapolis County, the routes are long. And how would you? Is there any anticipation having to see as how our ridership is included in the grant formula for monies coming from the government? Do we have a plan, or do we have some charging stations set up in that plan to get length, especially in the western end of the county? And how do we accomplish, that routing and the lengths and like adding extra buses? Any thoughts on how that evolution?
That's the final 10% of the report. But here there are two solutions to the question. One is there would be one extra bus, and the other is the second would be there would be an inline charging, fast charge located somewhere on the route. We haven't determined the exact location yet. We spent some time with the Novabus of Quebec, the largest Canadian manufacturer battery electric, and in places like in Montreal, we actually want that from this quick charging. Their top mounting battery, the charger comes down from above, and you can get 30% charge in 10 or 12 minutes. So it's a top-up type of concept. That's why we need to build some slack time into the routes to make sure that we have that kind of robust stock. Hopefully you can make it worth it. The driver can have a lunch break and a washroom break at the same time, and push it and keep going.
It's only taking an hour to recharge, total charge.
Actually, total charge is much longer. I'm not the electrical engineer, so I apologize. The full charges you would typically do on overnight, or in this case, maybe you would operate overnight to get your buses up to 100%, and then use these quick charge, fast charge locations to 30 or 40% charge.
With 30% charge, the length of the turnaround of the bus route, doesn't sound like that would be enough. Even introducing those charging stations.
There's one extra, again, in that 3-bus rotation, there will be a 4th bus. So you park one, take the new one on your rotations. And the folks who, like I say, are much smarter than I am, work through the numbers and the mileage and the time, and told us we can achieve that with, again, the buses that we're looking at will have larger battery pack to get us those extra kilometers a day.
At some point, when other 10% of studies promoted that we should have another report from those engineers that can give us I'm just a little skeptical on how this is going to possibly make it.
The report, it's finished from the back of the NSA board, and then we can, once it's brought into their records, we can circulate for sure.
So there's going to be a time frame to accomplish those goals at this point. Do we know what the timeline is?
Well, I'm pushing the hoping that within the next couple of weeks we'll have all that information in the package for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then thank you again. So is there a fear that these fully electric buses that they're proposing now won't pan out? And if they don't pan out, I watch people, buying trucks now and getting 20 kilometers out of them, pulling their little trailer. So, I know that another 20 people on this bus is going to make a big difference to the life expectancy of that battery. We know that. It's extra weight. Programs, has anybody asked the government, gone back to the people that are putting this program and these grants out, to ask them to make a change in that? Or are they hard set that they're going to be electric and that's all there is to it? They're going to be fully electric. Whereas, technology and it's just like governments, they change.
Again, you've asked the question, we've gone through the process again. You probably haven't taken it to the minister by any means, but all of the folks working in that department says, it's electric or bust.
Electric or bust. Okay, thank you. That answered my question.
Councilor Sherry?
Thank you. So as the slides are going through, I didn't read this previously, but I thought I saw on the slide that Digby and Annapolis, the mechanic was not correct in the 2024 budget. So what does that mean for us? Is that going to be an increase, like it's going to affect our budget that we already passed? Is that an increase in our? No.
No, it's the correct amount is in your 24, 25 numbers.
Okay, again, I didn't read the slide previously. It just popped up and I just had that question. Thank you.
Councilor Longmire?
Read all this. So it sounds like what has been presented today is based on a partnership consideration rather than looking at what a service arrangement would be versus a partnership. Is that correct? Okay. So if that goes back to the RFP and how it was worded, we'll not know or have any ability to know what it would look like for just a service arrangement. And as Councillor Enslow picked up on, I can't see the slides, they're not accessible to me, even with glasses. 24.2% is huge to the citizen, to the people riding, right? To the county for paying for a partnership. I mean, it's astronomical. And again, it's all built on costs and riders and, but yeah, so I would really want to see what that service arrangement and what that kind of report would look like to be able to make a comparison. I think it looks like to me, I'm sorry, it feels like to me that they're going to need us as a partner. So they really don't wish to show us any other kind of option. But maybe the RFP wasn't specific enough to suggest that.
Again, the RFP didn't ask them to give us both options. It asked us to select a preferred option.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Mr.
So they looked at both.
Okay.
Their, again, professional recommendation or knowledge or research that they did, all of that, came back saying that, the member governance structure was the best for the organization.
Thank you, Mr. Wendell.
Yeah, the 24% increase is actually your service contract increase 23-24 to 24-25. That has nothing to do with being a member or not being a member. That's still under the current service partner arrangement.
Yes. Thank you.
That's all we have for questions here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Do you have it printed and put in your mailboxes?
Perfect, thank you.
Do we want a lunch break or do we want to try and...
Oh, we'll finish it. No questions.
No questions, you Bobby.
Well, not hearing anything. Onward. 6.9, page 98.
Nope. Oh, 76 we're on.
76.
76.
At what point or before we take break to review?
Yeah, we're not.
Great. We'll take a recess then. Lunch.
It is 12 o'clock.
Yes, we're not taking one.
So it all depends how long the others are going to take.
Doesn't look like it's,
It's not a big, most of this is just prep.
Wasting time.
The camera will be quick, so it won't be.
yeah, I'd like to
Perfect, that's
continue.
fine.
Let's just
That's all.
continue.
That's my thought anyway. We can go ahead. Medical reasons, Jane?
That's two free recess.
How long?
60 minutes? Brief.
Think fast.
Take 60, we might as well take an hour.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna take 5.
We're only going to be like 15 or 20 minutes.
It's only going to be 15 or 20 minutes finishing this up.
Somebody's asked for a break.
Yeah, but
We're
he
going to
said
take a
60
break.
minutes for a break. We don't
So
do
we're going to do
60.
60 minutes. Lunch. And that's what we're doing.
So we're doing lunch instead of a break.
Hello, welcome back. Page 70. Where were we? Thank you. We looked at that first, right?
76.
76? 76? Yes.
Strong balls. Man, the big parade.
Anyone particularly want to grab that one, or should I?
I recommend
Councilor Gunn.
I recommend the municipal council approve policy 112 area advisory planning committee policy, 7-day notice.
Second.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. I read through this and everything, and this is basically going to take all of these planning things that we have now and basically put them in a wide plan, right? Is that the idea behind it all? No? Okay. We're still going to have all these separate plans.
Yes, absolutely. So if I may, you currently have policies for each one of your secondary planning areas. We've rolled them all into one and just put some clarity on the membership requirements for council is the big change. So you had a policy for habitation, you had a policy for East End, Bridgetown, etc. So now you have one policy that covers all of your secondary plans. Instead of, 6 policies, now you have one or whatever.
It's the same thing, only different. Okay, thank you.
You'll still have all the same committees.
Yeah,
Yes.
still the same. But they're going to be more handled as one block. Those.
You have one policy that lays out the requirements for the membership and the duties of the area advisory committee.
That's all this particular.
Yes.
Oh.
So there is one correction.
That's reading my homework.
You'll see in the policy where we were undecided whether there was going to be 3 counselors or 2 on number 7 of the policy, and it's 2 counselors, not 3. So I apologize for that.
So, excuse me.
Councilor LeBlanc?
For that membership part of it, on the East End Advisory, we have 3 counselors. No, we have 4 counselors.
4 counselors. 4. That's it.
So what does that do to that?
Covers 4 East End counselors.
So you could have the option of 2 of you do a 2-year term and the other 2 do another 2-year term. It certainly doesn't stop those counselors who are not appointed to that committee from showing up at the meetings and participating that way, but we wanted to just give clarity to the membership requirements for all secondary area advisors.
So it'd be 2 members of council and 5 members of the public.
Not more than. Yeah.
Not more, yeah, on each advisor. Okay, I'll leave it to that. Thank you for a second, so I can think about it.
Councilor Connell?
Well, yes, I have concerns that we always set on those because we represented the people in those areas. And we see how many people come out to those areas. But you guys don't see how many people call us and talk to us on the street every day about those concerns they have. So, unless you're going to redo the zoning maps, or the maps, so the councilors are representing some residents, we still should have 4 counselors on there. If our area of representation takes in that East End, we should be on there because not everyone comes out to those meetings. They depend on us. I don't know how many times I get asked during a week. People ask me, how you doing in the East End? When are they going to get picked up again? Blah, 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 blah. So I think that, my concern is that if council doesn't want to go, then those residents aren't going to be represented. And that's my concern about the East End. Like I say, if you want to shrink the East End and it doesn't include District 2, that's fine. But we have some major concerns there with farming and development up the Brooklyn Road. I mean, I'm asking.
How many districts about in that?
4.
Councilor Sheridan?
So I had the same concern. I've been sitting there for almost 8 years on the East End, and I would be lost with my fellow councilors, who there's 4 of us, and we represent each district, and we have the same issues. So I feel it's important for all 4 of us to be there. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Councilor Joe?
We'll refer back to the policy for example purposes only. You look at water, it's stated that the council is in or abutting that a water resource area is on that committee. Why couldn't it be something similar to this? Because you want the council representative for that area. And there's 4 abutting it. Well, maybe there should be 4. Maybe in the other areas that if it's only Cornwallis or it's only things that should only be the councilor that's in that area. But the same rationale as was used for the social water committee. I guess that's one of it.
Councilor Prout?
I was just going to say, I know where the East End is an area that's getting a closer look from studies that are going on there. And I don't want to speak for all 4 of us, but we've all 4 expressed concerns that what development would look like, where we might buy into it. I don't think your engineer, I don't see Jim here, but what would we need to provide water, sewer, other issues that we're looking at, and we have a lot of commonalities, issues in, say, Nicktaw and Wilmot and over in Middleton, around the outskirts of Middleton, certainly on the Ward Road, and anyway. I don't know.
Councilor Sherry?
So I would like to fix this, but I don't want to not support the policy change, but I'm wondering if I could do an amendment to suggest that the East End have the 4 councillors from the East End on it.
Can't we just use the same wording from water?
We could. I don't know. I just want this. I wasn't prepared for this, I guess. So.
For the councillors in that area, for the districts.
For the districts in the East End. Need some help
It
on the
shouldn't
word.
even have to just be East End, it should be on any advisory, the councillors.
On all the committees is what you're saying. Okay.
So maybe the membership of each area advisory committee shall consist of the councillors.
Would you like a brief recess?
Well, I guess, if I may, Mr. Chairman, if you're going to start playing with it, you're going to play with a whole lot more than just one section. So the easiest fix is to change the 2 to a 4.
Yeah. Okay.
And any committee can have up to 4. So if the nominating committee wants to appoint somebody from Cornwallis Park to the East End, they can appoint somebody from Cornwallis Park to the East End. 4 people that need the committee.
Councillors? Is that?
Councillors, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was thinking, if I may.
Absolutely, Councilor.
I was thinking more of the councillors representing those district in those area advisory. And then it doesn't consistently put a big 4 there.
The council's decision, but it might be some instances where you have 4 council members on a committee and other ones you only have 1.
We've worked like that for a long
Isn't that
time.
the way it is now?
That's very true.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily work for because that council member is not present. Or if you have only 3 members of the public show up, then council's controlling the committee. So it's, staff are flexible. Whatever you want, whatever you think is going to work best for your community. We're just trying to make it simplified so everybody, so it's simple.
And I just want to make the amendment simple as well. So if
The amendment simple is just make it everybody 4.
No more than that.
No more than 4.
let's do that then. Thank you.
I'll second that.
So you're going
To amend the policy in item 7. I'm just trying to see if first paragraph, change the wording for counselor membership. To be no more than 4?
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Thank you.
Just a question.
Councilor Bartel.
Saying no more for non-target citizen members. But council members are sitting around here and they go to the appointment boards that they're on. So basically, you're saying 4 councilors. Who's going to make the decision and what criteria you use to put less than 4?
Nominating committee. In the policy, nominating committee has to be.
What criteria do they use? And that can be helpful for the process. And so they're not going to want to make a decision. Oh, we'll on that one, but we'll forward this one. Yeah, like, it's random.
Well, they bring a recommendation to council.
I'm comfortable with that.
Applications are made. They wish to be on it, they wish to be on it, and we go from there.
In the past, the nominating committee has shown excellent wisdom. I do not recall a time when the recommendation has not been approved by council.
They usually have the guidelines to go by.
Yeah.
You know, we have the arbitrary stuff, right?
No, council does.
So when councilors are polled, this will be part of the poll. Some you will still have to sit on because of where you are. This one will be a poll if you wish to sit on this one. You will be asked that.
You will have to volunteer.
Councilor Gunn?
Thank you. You know, I don't sit on any of these boards. District 8, you know, we have our Lake Katy water group, and that's it. You know, I try to pay attention to different groups in Bear River, and one thing and another. But I can say this, that if my district had any of these groups in it, I think I would want to be involved.
Other comments? All right. Those in favor?
Just the amendment.
Just the amendment.
No, the amendment to amend the policy in, to amend the policy in Article 7, first paragraph, to change the wording for councilor membership to be no more than 4.
Those in favor of the amendment?
Yes.
Yes. Those opposed? Comments on the new motion? All right, those in favor of the motion?
Yes.
Opposed? Next, page 98. Participation policy. Councilor Enzo?
Thank you. I move to recommend that municipal council approve policy 113, public participation 7-day notice.
All right.
Councilor Gunn?
I don't know if you got me for a question or for a second.
Head Pro for second and you for comment. Councilor Enzo?
I just want to say that I read through the policy and I'm glad that we've updated it to meet the new way of doing things. And I like the fact that we took a lot of people's feedback from various meetings that we've had to try to implement it. I think anything that we can do to make our public participation better makes it better. Now, hopefully, we can start working on our website. Very good. That's all I have to say.
Further comment?
There's no time.
Councilor LeBlanc, is your hand up, or
Yes, there's no use.
Councilor LeBlanc?
On the second page, it would be actually Form A, but down, turn the page, it's on the bottom. The public information meetings where they speak, or they sign up, or they send messages, is there a minimum of 5 minutes, 10 minutes? There was no minimum, and there's also, what I can read from this is you can speak once, but you could also speak twice, which is good. But is there a time limit or a number of times that you may speak, or not? Because if we don't put a limit, I think that I can remember that one of the last meetings that Madame Clerk had to read forever and ever a dialogue that should have been presented by the owner. However, so I'm wondering, should we not put a limit of some sort?
Just to clarify what the plan is here, is that we probably need to change our internal processes, not necessarily the policy part of it, but if somebody submits something in writing, we simply circulate it to members of council without actually having to read the whole thing into the record. So we can change that process administratively to save from having to read that. If all members of council receive it in an appropriate amount of time, I think it's like 2 days or something beforehand, so you'll get it and you can read it without the clerk having to read it all through, which I think was a problem before, where if somebody wrote a long thing, it took a lot longer than 5 minutes. So proposed policy is you get to speak once, and there's no time limit, but it has to be reasonable. That's up to the chairperson. And then you can't speak a second time until everybody else has had a chance to speak. And so you'll get a couple chances to speak, but it'll be up to the chairperson. Once you start repeating yourself or your discussion is not relevant to the topic, that's up to the chairperson to cut it off and end it. So, but we did hear from the public that they want to be able to speak a little longer. And so I think in the past, the chairman has always given them a little leniency. So when we put in the policy 5 minutes, then the public or somebody expects you to cut people off. In some cases, somebody may still be talking relevant, and you want to let them talk a little longer than 5 minutes. So this just gives the chairperson a little more flexibility to allow more public discussion.
All right, thank you.
All right, Councilor Bartow?
The only problem I have with that is if you're saying that you can circulate it ahead and then it doesn't have to be read, it's at a public hearing and the public has a right to hear it as well, and they're not going to have a copy of that to read. So I think we want to strongly consider having it read so that they're well aware of the concerns it's been submitted and submitted in writing. I know it puts a burden on the clerk and maybe a new burden, but if we don't have a time limit, we might end up with those going to be written submissions because the person might present themselves anyway. But if they do, I don't think we want to withhold that information from the public just to read themselves around the table.
If I may, Mr. Chairman. The public hearing is for PAC or for council, it's not for the public. So if somebody submits something, they're submitting it to PAC or council, they're not submitting it for public. They're submitting it to you. So the public doesn't necessarily have to see it or have it read to them because it's not relevant to them. It's only relevant to you as the voter, as the people that are going to vote or make action on it. So the fact that it's available, so we get it beforehand, we can say that this document has been received and it gets recorded in the minutes we received. If somebody the public wants to see it, they can have access to it later on. They don't need to have access to it immediately because the meeting's not for them. The meeting is them for the speak. It's not for them to hear what other people have said or other people have submitted. That's their own, that's a separate issue. So it's not
avoiding the backlash.
But we would be a rarity. Like I've never seen that in my history of all my career where we've read out somebody's submission or because the public wants to hear it. It's not relevant to the public because it's not for them. It's for the committee or for council. So it'll be available publicly because it becomes part of the public record. But to make it available to them instantaneously, immediately, I've never seen that before. So. It would delay, potentially if you get 20 submissions, there's no need for the public to be there because it's going to take you 2 hours to read them all. The public's not going to get any opportunity to speak.
Councilor Gunn, you're next.
Well, yeah, I did that. And this is about a public, my question, I'll leave it, thank you. This is about public meetings, it goes further.
Councilor Longmire.
Thank you. So on the second page of the public participation policies, the policy 113, second page, first paragraph, I suspect there should be the word day after 7. And with that, I'm just wondering, knowing that the municipality with the first of any such notices appearing at least 7 days before the beginning of a public information program, does that mean that advertisements in the second paragraph, newspaper and such, all of the different methods are done at the 7th day, or is it done, like how much in advance is all of that done?
So that, you want me to answer? So my name is Mr. Chairman. So that particular paragraph talks about the newspaper advertisement. It's the 7 days before the program begins. And then the other forms of advertising in the next paragraph could be 14 days, could be 21 days, could be 5 days, depending on the nature of what it is.
Sure.
Those could be all staggered. So if they're going to put radio ads, they're not going to be for 3 weeks straight. They're probably going to be for 5 days or 7 days. Versus the website, there's no reason why it can't go up immediately. Just the newspaper might take a couple extra days because of the time.
Thank you.
All right. Henslow.
Thank you. I don't want to stir things back up again, but it's just my thought process around the reading of submissions. I can understand the want to not do it to save time and Carolyn's voice and different things like that. But when I think of trying to be open and transparent, and I don't know where I lie on this. Like, I feel that people that want to speak when they go to say the planning advisory meeting, so they decide they want to speak, and then they listen to other things, and sometimes they trigger a memory or they say, okay, well, I'm not going to talk about that in an ideal world. I'm not going to talk about that because someone else did. But it triggers something where I like the fact that it's read aloud. That way everyone knows and has the same information that we have. Yes, it's all public. They can request it and get it and whatever. But I don't think we'd ever be in a situation where we're reading written submissions for hours. Especially now with this policy opening up the floor to be able to talk longer and to be able to have more than one kick at the can. Perhaps we won't have as many written submissions, but having the written submissions read aloud so everyone can hear it. So I'm a big believer of being open and transparent whenever possible. And I don't know how I feel about the policy not allowing that.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just to clarify. Making it a public document is open and transparent. Some members of the public may not appreciate that, but once you file it with us, it becomes open and transparent. What I don't want to have happen is put our clerk in a position where she's asked to read a document that's disrespectful, slanderous, libelous, and all those other things in there with inaccurate or factual information that's not factual, and it's coming out of her mouth. It could be derogatory comments about members of council. We have had those. We've had some things that have been inappropriate. And what you're forcing your staff to do, your clerk to do, is to read things that are inappropriate.
No, I see that. I guess I was really thinking from an ideal world that we would all love to live in.
Because you see some of the emails, and some of them are not very respectful or polite.
Yeah.
And so
I don't know. I see the both, and I can definitely see that point. And hopefully, in an ideal world, people would have the professionalism to edit that out. But I do see both ends.
We're not trying to hide anything. This is a,
No.
that's part of the public record.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Councillor Hudson?
Yes. It just strikes me to ask this question. This policy here, I think it focuses on participation in respect to the NPS and land use bylaw changes and so on and so forth, which I'm fine with. But we have other meetings where the public are there and they participate. A good example, we've got recreation meetings coming up throughout the county, right? Where residents are being asked to come to give their feedback and views and so on and so forth. Should something be, maybe it's a separate policy, but should there be something separate that deals with those type of meetings? There's still public participation meetings as far as I'm concerned.
Well, they are. They are just not sure because they're not managed or facilitated by council. They're, for the most part, those are facilitated by members of staff.
Just informal meetings.
More informal.
No, maybe more informal. You're still asking the public for the participation, right? And feedback, recommendations, and the whole 9 yards.
And many of our other committees don't have public participation. They're just a regular meeting of the committee that meets. So there's not a lot of them.
Councillor Bartone?
I'm not in favor of a 5-minute cutoff, but on the other hand, without any time on it, you could get a lengthy presentations from a lot of the people. And we can say have a hall from 7 to 9, and we run out of time, and there's people that signed up to talk. What do? Do we just lengthen our rental at the time, or do you cut it off at that, and then piss off people that didn't have a chance to talk? I'm just wondering if we shouldn't have some kind of a time constraint so that it doesn't get out of control and satisfy the needs of everybody, not the few.
Sitting chair here, the chair, for many of these things, in my vast 32 minutes of experience in this chair, I think if I walked into a public meeting and there's 200 people sitting there, I'd respectfully ask people to try and keep it a little short, and then right at a time we move on from there. And we have another meeting. I think that's a relatively easy solution to have down the road, should you come to it. I mean, that'd be a great problem to have, wouldn't it? That many people interested in what you're doing. Councillor LeBlanc.
I just wanted to
Thank you. Coming back to reading letters that were submitted, it was usually meant for people who could not be there. They were away or whatever. And the last time it was the people were there and they were being read by our clerk. That was inappropriate. So we should not be having that happening. And honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to mentioning the fact that, we have a lot of people who wish to speak, so you have 10 minutes. Because, for example, the PAC, you're sitting there, we're all listening, and we have to listen to what their concerns are, so it gives them each time and they have a second chance, obviously. So I think it would be something of a guideline so that they know that they stick to the topic of what they wish to present. So two things there. So I'm good with not having to present a letter. Thank you.
Councillor Gunn?
Thank you. As to what Councillor Barta was said, there's a woman called named Edith Slack, and she says that when it comes to planning matters, if you've got 300 people in the room and they are all in a big lineup and they all want to speak and you've got your hall booked till 10 o'clock, you listen to as many as you can, and when your 10 o'clock booking is up, you book another time so you can listen to the rest of them, because everybody gets listened to when it comes to planning.
Anyone else?
I won't be happy at the end of that day.
All right. Those in favor of the question? Opposed? Next, I have the danger to present premises.
Just saying, I think I win.
What district do you in?
I'll object to that. Look for number one there.
Trying to determine what's winning, having the most or having the least.
Oh, it's a matter of opinion.
Relevant questions, Councilor Henslow.
Thank you. So it seems like we're on a small uptick. So I'm just curious on, are we getting a lot more complaints, or are we being proactive, or like when our staff are driving by, for example, and they see something, do they address it, or is it all complaint basis?
If I may answer? It is based on complaint. Our policy states that. It is based on complaint by the community. There are times when we have driven by properties and gone, maybe we need to ask some questions.
Yes.
Uptake? No. We have always had a lot of files. There's always been a lot of complaints. We deal with them as quickly as we can. Spring is here. We have been out on the road all last week. We started again this week. Letters are going out. As you know, spring cleanup is this week in the western end, and next week it'll be in the east end. So that's where our kick in the can is, and reminding everybody to get their stuff out. And then we go back and we visit those properties, and then we have to have those hard conversations with those that don't get cleaned up.
Councilor Hudson.
Yeah, just a very quick question. Now, in the notices that go out, people are given times to respond, right? Whether it's a first notice or second notice. Are those times legislated? They are in the Municipal Government Act?
They are in the Municipal Government Act, and they're also in our policy.
I'm sorry?
They are also in our policy.
Okay. No, I just asked that. It seems no criticism of the department and the work they do, but it just seems like a lot of those things don't happen very quickly, and if you could shorten the time, you know, some of these situations could be resolved a lot quicker. You know, instead of being able to be given a month to respond, maybe it's only 15 days. But, man, just my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, Councilor Longbottom?
Thank you. When it comes to, when I look at the title dangerous and unsightly premises, the danger part really does present a different level of, concern, of course, right? I don't want to speak about particular pieces of property, but there is one that, we all, I'm sure, probably everyone in this room may have heard of or have driven by themselves and wondered, how does someone take oil and other caustic fluids out of a vehicle, tear the vehicles up, leave everything laying around the property where it could leach into the ground and potentially into water, or potentially, right? So the danger piece, really, like, how long do we wait? I don't know which one of those properties I'm referring to.
It's on there.
Oh, I know it's on there. But I look at follow-up letter to tenant property sold in tax sale. I'm assuming that may be the property, right?
Yes.
And so it continues to be dangerous.
They have until the 15th.
Thank you.
Councilor Gunn.
Thank you so much. I certainly don't envy you your job. I don't envy you your job at all. I remember a few years ago, and there was this old blue house in Bridgetown. And I was on just glancing through Facebook this morning, and I remember it was only a few years ago when you were after them to get that property all cleaned up and do something about it, because it was about ready to be tore down or burnt down by somebody. And by God, you did your job. And I see it all fresh and repainted and done up on Facebook this morning. Looks like a brand new painting.
All yours for 700,000. All yours for 600 and something thousand.
Oh, I don't want to buy it. I'm just saying that somebody took it and they did a good job at it. You know, when it comes to old houses like this, sometimes not all of them have to be tore down.
Oh, no, for sure.
They just need a little love. Thank you.
Further comments or questions?
I might just also commend the group, the youth department, for the past, any calls that have come through me or perhaps made by me, receive prompt attention, and it's like a well-oiled machine, and I know the group that you work with in your department, but you are to be commended.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, move on. Move on to 6.11. Do we have anybody who wants to move?
Point somebody else.
Councilor Rhodes.
Thank you. I move that Municipal Council approve policy 110, Recreation and Culture, Reserve Fund, 7-day notice.
Councilor Mullar. Oh, second. Just second. Yeah. Ahead of myself here. Comments? Councilor Hudson.
Yes, just for my own information, on page 108, the first sentence says, approximately $170,000 is being allocated this year, 55 of which is for this reserve. Do we have a list of who the recipients will be of that money?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, none of that funding has been allocated this year. That's just as funds available to spend, about $170,000. That's what's left. So we've allocated zero in the budget this year of that fund.
Oh, you have? Okay. Okay.
Councilor Connell.
Did I hear you just say that you didn't allocate any money to go in that account this year?
No, didn't we allocated $55,000 this year, which brings it to $170, but we haven't allocated any of the budget to spend out of it.
Right.
So if council doesn't spend any money, it'll be $170,000 at the end of the year.
Because, I'll give you a little history. When deed transfer tax was advised that the municipalities could put deed transfer tax in place, we started out at 0.5%. The council at the time said, what a great idea to put money away for future recreational facilities. But we didn't have the foresight sitting around the table, because all of a sudden we got a fair amount of tax in that year from the deed transfer tax, and it could see it was going to go bigger. So it was decided by council, which it passed, so I'm not arguing the point of how it was decided, but it was decided then to put $50,000 away for future use for recreation. Our deed transfer tax was thrown, anything extra was thrown in common budget. Same as what's happened provincially, what's happened federally. They put a new tax in, they show some where the money goes, the rest of it just goes in. We could have enough money in that account right now to build a brand new recreational facility if we would did what we intended to do. That's all I got to say. 170,000 isn't a big plus to me.
But it's getting there.
Better than a good thing.
Councilor Bartow.
That's a coalition that has over the years, which wasn't the whole man. But it's where did the divide this go from?
It was always 55, that was the number.
That's the same figure that we're
I think Councillor Connell shortened the 55 to 50 for storytelling.
No, it was 50 when we started. Yeah, and then over the years they did go up 5,000. But we're going to build a new facility for 40 million. 5,000, 40 million.
I guess we're voting then. All those in favor?
Yes.
Okay. 7.1. Who chairs the Councilor Longmire? Good morning. Sure. Oh, is it always? Okay, sorry. My apologies, Councilor Miller. PCTS first. The clerk is scaring me out. Councilor Crouch. Report, isn't it?
Yeah, just a report.
Student colleagues have questions for him?
No, thank you.
Good report.
Good report.
All right. Councilor Longmire.
All right. I move to recommend that municipal council approve policy 108, medical financial assistance, 7-day notice.
Second.
Connell, thank you to two attorneys to Councilor Judd. Councilor Connell, please. Questions or comments? Councilor Longmire.
All right, thank you. So after going back through this again, on point 6, so page 114.6, the financial assistance may be provided at the sole discretion of the municipality in the amount of $10,000 for eligible full-time medical practitioners and $5,000 for part-time medical practitioners, but in no case shall any applicant receive funding more than once. So I started to consider what that part-time looks like. And so I guess I would throw there, should we, because we could have someone who's offering 1 day a week versus 3 days a week, and that might change what that financial support could look like. Wondering if adding up to $5,000 for part-time medical practitioners is something that could be considered.
Councilor Anslow.
Thank you. So, maybe I'm confused, which could happen every once in a while. But I thought the last time we talked about this, that we were getting away from a certain dollar value amount. And because it's been $10,000 for quite some time, and I, for some reason, thought we were going to a different number or having it discretionary, but maybe I was dreaming, I don't know. So I was dreaming. Perfect, okay. All right, never mind.
Councilor Sheridan.
So just a question, I'm assuming, I'm just assuming, but we only put so much in the budget each year for this. So it's when it runs out for that year, we cannot fund these people, am I correct in saying that? Or are we going to continue?
Those are grants.
If I may, the money is just run into the budget with the grants organizations or the grants, the funding, so it's all in one big pot of money.
Okay.
So if you spend $5,000, you spend $50,000, it's all in that one pot of money.
So
It's discretion to council each time how much you spend.
So
There's not a fixed amount, and then once it runs out, there's no more money. If council wishes to spend money out of that pot of money, they can make a motion.
until that pot of money goes dry.
Well, and then it'll come back to council for an over expenditure, yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Councilor Connell, too.
And I'm not disagreeing with my colleague, but when we don't put a set amount there and we say up to, who's going to discretionary say up to who? This is our CAO, this is all, I'm buddies with so-and-so, I can see him get $5,000. The person, I don't know them, they only get $2,000. If you put 5,000, it's 5,000. council gives direction. Otherwise, it's gotta come back to council every time, and that's what we wanted to make policy for, so it didn't have to come back to council every time. If we make it up to, then it's gotta come to council, because maybe I know that Joe Blow's a friend of our CAO and he's mad at me. I don't want that, you know, but when we say $5,000 for part-time, it's straightforward to me.
Maybe I need a doctor, maybe they give extra.
It's been probably done before.
Councilor Bartow?
Just, this is a different policy. It's not the grant policy. It's a policy for physician recruitment and retention policy, and there's a committee for that. So it wouldn't just be arbitrarily picked by the CAO, I don't believe. Who actually sits in on our meeting? So I think that it would be something, a recommendation. Maybe it should say a recommendation would come from committee. Someone taking 1 day a week, one day like that, so he's coming 3 or 4 days a week, and he's only getting the same profit. It gives some clarity or some word wonderful, but it's in all as to how much we put off. I think there's definitely gray area there. I hate gray areas, but in this case, how do you avoid the gray area? Unless you put a policy and say, okay, is there 1 day a week to get someone 2 days a week to play? That's the only way to get the human factor of the term to go to that. I think there is a need to cover that, because the person on the receiving end, if they know that they're working 1.5 time, and if I sit outside and only comes in for a day a week and he's getting the same incentive, what's that gonna, how's that gonna spin in? So I think that up to, I'm not usually a fan of gray areas, like I said, but in this case we need to say, as recommended by the committee, and that would cover to a maximum of $5,000. We usually don't talk these over with a motion on to make an amendment, and we did do that. Yeah, I think there was a motion. There was a comment or suggestion made, but it wasn't a motion. We didn't vote on it, so maybe we should have a motion and then a second one. And make this change to the policy as an amendment to the policy. Then we could talk about it, which was already done. Cart before the horse.
So you're making the motion, amendment? Make an amendment.
But there's no,
It started here, but we never.
you currently have the floor, so would you like to make an amendment?
Okay, sure. Item 6. Says we take that to full-time medical practitioners. And like I'm going to set up to $5,000 part-time practitioners. As recommended by committee. I'm not sure exactly, just a little muddy on the wording. You guys can get it home there.
Okay, so the wording would be financial assistance may be provided to the sole discretion of the municipality in the amount of $10,000 for eligible full-time medical practitioners and up to $5,000 for part-time medical practitioners upon a recommendation from the
Physician recruitment.
committee, but in no case shall any applicant receive funding more than once.
Sounds good.
Who's second?
Councilor Anslow, I had you next, but you're speaking to the amendment now, not the main motion.
Yes, yeah. No, I agree with the amendment. I still wonder if that's the right amount. Like, I just wonder if 10,000 is the right amount, but I support the amendment.
Anyone else? We'll vote on the amendment. Do we have that? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Amendment. Those opposed? We're back to the main motion as amended. Further comments?
You got me down there somewhere.
Yeah. Councilor Hudson.
Yeah, before we vote on that, I would like an explanation of what number 7 means. I know this is for position recruitment and retention, but this here, number 7 would suggest, are we going a step beyond that? When we're saying we can give financial support directly or indirectly to a community-based nonprofit society or other government entity?
That's not what we're saying.
Anyway, if I may, I would make a motion to strike number 7.
Can I explain it first before we vote?
Why it's there?
So we have a motion to strike number 7. Do we have a seconder?
No.
No seconder? That dies there. We have Councilor Gunn speaking to the amended motion.
Thank you. This is taxpayers' money we're talking about here. And in the world of making money, what we're offering isn't much. When you're got the government popping off $145,000, $50,000, and I'm only guessing, a year, $10,000 to come to an area is not much. But what it is, it's a thank you and welcome to the neighborhood. It's, how can we help? Perhaps, this might make your transition here a little smoother. That's all it is. It's all well-meaning. And that's the way I felt about this policy. Well, it was well written. The little amendment that was made to it, and I can look at that as an addition. But it was a well written, well thought out. Line 7, yes, we may. In our medical financial assistance, we may decide that somebody will give us a presentation and we may decide to help with some funding to a clinic or something. That's all part of this medical financial assistance policy that we've come up with. It's no longer directed just at physician recruitment and retention. We're calling it medical financial assistance, and that's in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Sheridan, I had you next.
I was just going to mention it used to run through the foundations, like the foundation on this end and the foundation at Souls Memorial, and that's how the funding came about originally. It was running through the foundations, but now we've broadened it a bit, which I think is a lot better. So that's where number 7 came in, because it ran through foundations. I'll just leave it there. Thanks.
Councilor Longmire, or sorry, Councilor Bartow next.
Yeah, I think Councilor mentioned how I was going to item 7 is separate from item 6. It's probably related to that positions or medical practitioner. It's in case there's for a clinic, somebody can apply for support. Those are two separate entities. It's not flowing directly through a nonprofit society or government entity to give to the physician or practitioner. It's in case to set up a clinic. We can get more doctors, we get more people, and that's what it takes to encourage that. We can, there's no harm by it. Put the
Yes, thank you. So really, Councillor Sheridan answered that for me. It is originated through the foundations and quite broadly has allowed, such as Lawrencetown, to be able to apply for financial support for opening up for a physician that has agreed to come there 1 day a week. Just as an example. Thanks.
Councillor Collins.
And I was going to say the same thing, is that the physician that would agree to come to Lawrencetown already is a seasoned physician at a Greenwood. So he wouldn't be eligible for the 10 grand because he's not moving to our county. But Lawrencetown's clinic needed some equipment to support him being there. It's not his. If he decides that he's not gone, if he's not staying and he goes and Lawrencetown recruits another physician to come there, the equipment stays there. So that's what it is. I think it's a good thing. We need all the doctors. I've been without a doctor for, say, 5 years. And this doctor that moved into the Lawrencetown area requested that he takes patients within the catchment of Lawrencetown before he takes anyone else. So it included a lot of us that had no doctors.
A lot. Good. Remember that at the village meeting. I have a hypothetical question. We have but in no case shall an applicant receive funding more than once. So if we had a clinic like Lawrencetown who recruits a new physician, and the physician and the clinic both get funded.
No, because you're providing not based on the current policy, because you're providing the funding for the clinic for the doctor, and if that doctor leaves, the equipment's still there. So they wouldn't need the equipment twice for another doctor. If the doctor comes in and you provide directly to the doctor, they're not going to get that funding, and that was put there. So, because if you're required to sign at least a 3-year contract, but then somebody might stay for 3 years and they sign another 3-year contract, you wouldn't want to come back and expect another $10,000 every 3 years because they signed a new contract.
One time.
It's a one-time.
Councilor Bartow.
I think it was all clouded with the George comment. That one time is only for the individuals. And item 7 covers the other stuff that would be for purchasing items for a clinic.
Thank you very much. There's a lot going on up here. I mean, mostly just my facial expressions, but there's occasionally things going up here too. So, thank you. Further comment?
Can I just make one clarification, Mr. Chairman? So, as Councilor Bartow said, doesn't like gray, but we've made a lot of gray here today because there's no criteria. So somebody applies. The original policy was they get the 10,000, they get the 5,000. Now we're saying up to on the 5,000, but there's no up to on the 10,000. So if somebody comes forward part-time, then it's going to be up to the committee to discuss whether that person's eligible for 2,000, 5,000, whatever. We just got to be careful because we can't come back to the council and then start explaining that person's personal situation on that application directly. So the council's going to have to trust the committee that whatever they discuss and bring forward a recommendation, they've vetted it and they're comfortable with what's going on, because otherwise you'll get into discussing personal information in a public council meeting and you don't want to do that.
This is number 4, Councilor Bartow. Go ahead.
The other one was on the amendment.
Very good. Very good.
If you won't get that. Maybe, we say part-time and full-time. What's part-time, what's full-time? Does a doctor come in and work 80 hours a week? Does he only have to work 40 hours a week or 30? What qualifies for the full-time? And what qualifies? Like the part-time, we set it up too, so if we get some variance there, but full-time, well, if somebody brings, I want to know, so because I'm on the committee, we're making recommendations. Because the guy said, I'm going to be there for 30 hours a week. Do we consider that full-time or do we consider it part-time?
No, there's definitions provincially and federally that explains what part-time hours and what full-time hours are.
So we do have that criteria. Great.
As Greg goes with everything, well, the question, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed?
Awesome.
So our last item is my report from the IMSA board. I circulated to you guys and I circulated the packet from the meeting last month, so I'll just hit the highlights. And I made some notes here that I can't see.
We don't have a copy.
No problem. So, it's that. Oh, no, I meant I emailed it to them all.
We emailed this all the councilors?
Yeah.
When was that? I didn't get it.
No?
Didn't have it as of last night, but I didn't check the call.
Well, my apologies. It seems all council doesn't work, or possibly my operation email as well.
I asked for more over it.
Sure.
Did they add it to the?
We're on the order of the day. Is that true?
Yeah.
Or,
Conferences. It seems how much of the old. This committee, technically, go to the approval of council to do so.
If the clerk can answer what the policy is.
Maybe on conference attendance. All councilors can attend up to 2. Is that our policy?
Is there any question?
Well, we might question it. Me.
yeah, I'm just going to check my previous desk to see if I find. Where's he going? He's resigning.
Yeah. Nobody's sitting in the chair.
Cats away the mice are flying.
Can I ask a question, Chair? If we didn't receive it, is there a way that you could send it to us and maybe we could discuss this at council?
Sure thing, yeah.
That'd be the easiest.
We'd like to have a chance to read it.
Yeah, no, it's really unfortunate because a lot of the background to what was presented here with the Pembroke Transit Day to the whole draft budget, a draft strategic plan that had come from the WSP.
Okay.
The major reason I forwarded it to all of you.
Okay.
Or attempted to forward it to all of you. So
That's fine.
just put my report off on that. Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you for that.
Well, my apologies for not having to have it. I think that moves us on to in camera. Motion to go in camera. Moved by Councilor Longmire, second by Councilor Long. Oh, yeah, well.
Section 22(2)A, acquisition, sale, use, and security of municipal property of the municipal government act. What's the second one, sorry?
Long.
Shut your movie off.
Yeah, we have a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? No. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Just like